Hi, I'm Dr. Westwood. I'm a GP working here in the North East. And for a while we've been actually working on methods to try and actually share electronic records securely and safely. We've long moved on from an era where all our encryption was GPs handwriting in their records to an era where this information all too readily can be shared. Now the issues around data are very pertinent at the present time with various leaks of data across government agencies. And what we're trying to do here in the North East is to actually build assurance that when we actually share medical records for direct patient care, we don't face any of the national headlines for inappropriate sharing of data. This project's really started since 2013, when after a meeting with the relevant GP system suppliers and Foundation Trust, we've tried to think of a way of how that information could be shared. The challenges sometimes have actually been that we should be doing it, but in reality, getting the funding for it has often been quite difficult. We produced a project back in 2013 where we booted and suited, went for the interview, and we even asked if we had asked for enough money. Sadly, that meeting was that proposal was rejected, but we were deemed to be successful. Frustratingly, though, we weren't actually held back by that, and at the latter end of 2014, two of the Foundation Trusts supported the first initial deployment of what is known as the MIG Interoperability Sharing Gateway. The MIG enables, with explicit consent from the patient at the time of contact with a clinician, for them to be able to view particular subsections of a GP clinical record. Now, this information is not that different to what actually can be shared at the present time with the patient online, which is an initiative driven by NHS England / NHS Digital to actually improve patients' access to their clinical records, effectively carrying them around in their pocket on a phone app. So we were successful in 2014 and very quickly thought, how does this upscale? Because it couldn't really just be one area, that was North Tyneside and Northumberland. It had to get bigger than that. And in various off-camera sort of meetings, we had a discussion about what could we actually call it. And various names were rejected, like Tyne to Tweed. We had to have something that actually had some resonance across the area. And it seemed to be a logical conclusion to actually sort of use a name or a brand that was potentially neutral, that everyone could actually buy into. The Great North Care Record is actually a programme evolving within the North East to try and ensure that we share patients' records securely by means that are acceptable to patients with their consent and permissions. Now, it may well surprise you that despite all the money spent on the NHS IT, we've not got to that level of local patient assurance that their information is being used securely. The whole ambition of the Great North Care Record is if we can have a banner under which we can actually evolve principles about how this information should be shared, we can give some strong reassurance that we're actually putting the patient at the front of their digital care and that we don't run the risk of having any data breaches and that patients really benefit from this. Now, as a personal thing, I would hope that actually at a point when I come to need care, I'm not faced with someone on a piece of paper asking, can I look at some more records? Now, in another context as well, that actually, as we change in life, we'll be looking after our parents and in the various settings, and it may well be that actually one of the big benefits that carers can actually have access to this information that otherwise are hitherto locked away. Now, brand development is actually a challenge with this, because we're getting multiple organisations to actually agree on what the core principles should actually be. It's not an overnight job, and in the past year we've moved from a position where we had an initial small localised project of information sharing in North Tyneside and Northumberland to actually try to upscale it to work across the North East. Being able to do this without a vast amount of money, and the great outcome of this, it's not a technological project, but actually suddenly people can see the logic, the hearts and minds thing is slowly being won. What this means in the context of patient care is that wherever they are seeing a point of care in the North East, their clinical information should be flowing with them. Not a question of, sorry, we've not got the paper records. That we should build to a position where this information, the key information that's needed for providing good quality care, is not missing. The Great North Care Record is an attempt in the North East to produce a coherent approach that's cross-organisational to patient record sharing with appropriate levels of assurance and information governance about who can see and do what with this information. What the public may not realise, although they may receive care under the NHS as a single badge, this care is distributed by a number of organisations across the North East. And if the Great North Care Record achieves something, is to actually improve collaboration between these organisations for patient care by sharing their data appropriately and securely. We regard the Great North Care Record as a success when patients understand that whenever they turn up to a point of care in the North East, that the clinical information that's important for their care is available to the clinicians who are treating them at that time. But they also know that this information won't be shared with anyone else without their express consent to share. Great North Care Record is a project in evolution, and we really want clinicians and patients in the North East to fully engage in our direction of travel for better, safer care.